It happened when I was still a student, about 10 years ago. I was in my second year of college when I got kicked out of the dorm for getting drunk and starting a fight. My parents, after some grumbling, rented me a small apartment on the edge of town. They brought over an old sofa, a couple of stools, a noisy fridge, and my childhood wardrobe with a dusty top compartment. Before leaving, they warned me they'd be calling the neighbors regularly to check up on me. And then they drove back to our hometown. Honestly, I was thrilled. For the first 2 weeks, I celebrated my newfound freedom with friends, drinking and partying every night. By the end of the month, I'd convinced my girlfriend, Yulia, to move in with me. So we can live like normal people, I said. At first, things were fine, but soon, I noticed Yulia started spending more time away, staying late after classes. We were in different apartments, going to parties with her girlfriends, and suddenly becoming very fond of visiting her parents every weekend. It made me uneasy, and little things about her started to feel off. One night, we were drinking beer in the park. It was late, a bitter cold winter night. I lost track of time while we talked, but then I noticed Yulia struggling to light a cigarette. Her hands were trembling from the cold, lips turning blue. I quickly pulled her up and dragged her home. Even inside, she kept shivering, but insisted she wasn't cold, blamed the wine, and said we could have stayed out another hour. That wasn't the only time. She started lingering on the street after we left the house, stopping at random shop windows for no reason, making up silly excuses to stay outside longer. And more often, I'd wake up in the morning and find myself alone in our tiny bedroom. She would sneak out after I fell asleep and move to the sofa in the empty living room. When I asked, she'd say she had homework to finish. Eventually, I got it. She had someone else. She just didn't want to go back to her dorm when she could crash here with me, the idiot who had his own place. The last straw. She started locking the bedroom door at night. I tried to talk to her. She gave me this half-hearted story about a drafty door. Said she locked it so the creaking wouldn't wake me up. More excuses about schoolwork, loving parents, supportive girlfriends. I snapped. Told her I knew what was going on, saw right through her. And I stormed out of the apartment, slamming the door behind me. I crashed at a friend's place and didn't return home until the next evening. Even then, I barely remember anything until the morning after that. When I finally pulled myself together, I noticed something strange. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Yulia was gone. But her things were still there. Shoes by the door, her notebooks, textbooks, even her coat. I picked up my phone to call her, and I heard her ringtone coming from the other room. She hadn't taken her phone, or her wallet, or her keys. What the hell? I told myself she'd come back. Maybe she panicked, ran off to avoid a fight. When she came to get her stuff, I tossed it off the balcony, let her pick it up in the snow. But she didn't come. Not the next day, not that week. Then one of her friends called me, then her parents, and then the police. I played it cool, said I hadn't seen her, but something didn't sit right. She had left in the middle of the night. No coat, no shoes, no ID, no money, just disappeared. The cops asked around, but no one saw a thing. Our street was dim and empty at night. No one paid attention. She never showed up again, never came for her things, never called her family, never came back to class. They questioned me a few more times, then stopped. I think the case just faded. I stayed in that apartment for another year, until a drunk downstairs started a fire. The smoke seeped into everything, the walls, the furniture, Even the toilet posters stank of ash. I moved out just so people would stop sniffing the air when I walked past. And that's when I found it. While packing, I opened the old wardrobe. Behind a pile of musty towels, something caught my eye. A small twisted silver earring, the one Yulia always wore in her right ear. And underneath that, a lump of fabric and hair, shredded pieces of her t-shirt, bits of her pajama pants, and the hair. You already know whose it was. I never told anyone about what I found.